Welcome. Great songs. I love the DJ. I'm Angela with,
Hi. Oh, go ahead.
here you go. There's Catherine. I was like, I was waiting to see your face pop up. Okay.
Oh, no worries. I'm here. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Happy to be here and share this morning with y'all. And yes, we have a good setup. We have a good lineup here. So we're really excited to be here with you all.
Yes. Welcome to the Eastside Pathways All Partner Meeting. Catherine and I will be your MCs and your guides through the morning. While Catherine and I might be doing a lot of the talking in the first half, we'd like to spotlight the EP backbone staff and acknowledge that they are here for support as well. And they rock. We all know that. That's why we're here, right? Each of you are here today because you either personally or your organization have committed your time, talent, and or treasure to our collective work and partnership to improve the systems which we together make. Thank you for committing to stay in this work by dedicating your capacity to work with each other and for your willingness to evaluate and potentially modify your own practices, behaviors, and procedures. That readiness for personal and organizational shifts to improve the systems of which we're a part is what we truly believe will create equitable pathways and improved outcomes for youth, children, and young adults from cradle to career. You may have noticed some quotes as you entered the virtual room. These are quotes from the 2021 Eastside Pathways Community Report. The report, published each year or so, lifts up the work and the impacts of this partnership. There will be a break around 11:15 where more data, stories from the community report will be shared. You can check out the full report via the link that Vicki is putting in the chat. Throughout the morning, you'll also see evidence of changes via short selfie videos contributed by some of our fellow partners speaking about their engagement in the partnership. A huge shout out to Liliana Medina at Sistema Escolar USA and EP partner for supporting with video editing. We are so lucky to have your expertise right within our partnership and community.
All right, so we're gonna get into the protocol that we have for today, everyone getting together. So right now, if you could take this time to update your Zoom name to include your pronouns or any other identifiers that you'd like to share with the group. So I chose to do so. I put my organization and my pronouns. And also you can add EP next to those pronouns and the your identifiers if you or your organization has signed the Eastside Pathways Equity Pledge, which I need to do that as well because I signed it. And then lastly, bookmark the eastsidepathways.org/meet-2 to stay up to date on any upcoming offerings. And I'm telling you, I always see the Eastside Pathways is always on the move, and you just never know what endeavor they're going to be in, and you really don't want to miss it. So I highly recommend that you do that. So I know I saw some people in the chat popping in. Love to see it. So please enter the community or organization that you're a part of or you're advocating for. And lastly, we have a Jamboard. So it's another way for us to stay interacting with each other. So there's a short link and there's a link in the chat. So go ahead and click on that. And it'll be a fun way for us to continue this conversation and just to continue to interact with each other. So go ahead and take your time and do that. And then in the next slide, there should be oh yeah, and Zoom reactions too. You know, I'm not past that. I'm all about the
I know, I'm
Zoom
still waiting for
reaction.
the snap reaction, right?
Oh
Do
yes,
that too.
that needs to happen. I'm gonna trademark that. No, I'm just joking. But yeah, feel free. We want this to be as interactive as possible. I know it's kind of tough with us being remote, but we can definitely make this happen. I've seen some live Eastside Pathways meetings. So yeah, here's the slide, and it'll show you how to get it done. So hopefully we get to fill it up. So on the top right side, it says click on the small arrow to go to the previous or next page. And there's a lot of people popping in, so I feel like it's going to fill up very quickly. And then on the left side, it says click on the sticky note icon to type your response. So we want it to be as colorful and as fun as possible. See, the chat is already booming already.
I know we have everyone here.
Love to see it.
All the best people. Right?
Literally all the people that are making it happen. The quote today is they said it can't be done, but it's being done, and it's being done by everyone here. So we're really excited.
Yeah. So just as Catherine said, the theme today is they said it can't be done, but it's being done. And I'm just going to be extremely honest with you all right now. When EP mentioned that they would like Catherine and I to share how this collective work has impacted us within our roles as a person, in our role as our organization, and how we see systems change, I got I got pretty nervous. I got nervous because I felt like I might be a little bit too vulnerable when I talk about how EP has impacted me in my person. But then I remember that that's the whole beauty of you all attending. As EP partners, you got my back, and I don't have to feel that way. EP has impacted me as a person because growing up, I didn't really have a place to go where people who looked like me might be going through the same things as me. After going to the POC meetings, I kept getting that feeling like, I was finally being seen, finally, after so long. And I didn't really have to pretend at anything. And when I enter a mesh meeting, I see that passion for youth in every face staring back at me on the computer. And I just know that professionally, we can lean on each other and help each other make the lives of our youth in our community better than maybe we had it when we were youths. While systems change happens sometimes so slowly that you think nothing is being done, I have faith, and I don't say this a lot, like I don't say this very often, but I have faith that with this collective work that we're doing together, and by continuing to hold each other accountable, because that's what we do, that's what we have to do, we can get the change that we and our youth so desperately need and deserve. So that's how EP has impacted me. Catherine, you're next.
Oh gosh. I feel like you took the words right out of my mouth, to be honest with you. I'm going to mirror a lot of what you said. I came on in this position. I work for the Lake Washington School District, and I started my work in 2019. And then all of a sudden 2020 came, and it was a trying time for all of us. And just imagine like all these families and all these youth and everyone that needs all the help and support, and just feeling that someone actually really cares about you and is concerned about your well-being. And honestly, like one of the organizations that I feel like I could really run to and express, one, how I'm feeling, two, what the needs are, and three, how can we actually get work done, was Eastside Pathways. Eastside Pathways has been that constant for myself and folks in the in our school district, but I can only imagine for folks in the collective as well. I agree also with the BIPOC Community Action Network. I can't tell you how valuable that space has been. So shout out to Kalika and Peyton for leading that work, because when Angela says that you can really be vulnerable and share where you're at and what's really coming up for you, it's not an exaggeration. That container is so tight and so supportive, and always is like, how can we help? How can we support? We got you. It's okay. And having those moments in which you are able to talk about like what's going on for you, what barriers we're seeing and everything, and then the fact that we're all able to network and come together, it kept me going throughout the pandemic. It was really trying. Then also being part of the EP Action Network with the early learning providers connecting group with Sandy and Alma from NISO. And it's just like I just can't stop going on about Eastside Pathways and how inspiring the work is, and all the folks in the network that you see they have that fire, that passion, but then also you see those moments in which we don't have that fire and passion because we are tired, but we pump each other up and we help each other out, and we're there for each other, and we're like, hey, like, you're not alone. And really seeing that it's not just you trying to make that systemic change, but it's other people, that makes the difference, and it encourages us to move from disengagement to engagement and that community collaboration. So I'm just eternally thankful for Eastside Pathways and the backbone and the collective, all of you, for doing what you do, because it's not easy, but with a collective like y'all, we can definitely get it done.
Yeah.
So if you have anything to share about Eastside Pathways as well, feel free to share that in the chat. I mean, it's a great space for us to really celebrate what's being done out there. You're right, Stephanie. Yep, everyone here is Eastside Pathways. We make it happen.
Sandy. Sandy's always full of just amazing things.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I think, let's see, the next slide, if we can. Are you seeing the next slide, Catherine? I'm not seeing it.
Oh, no, I'm not. Oh, there we go. There you go. Thank you. Shout out to Vicky. Yeah, so today's results, really, like we said, we really want to build those relationships. That's what makes this collaborative really powerful and really meaningful, us connecting with each other and, just getting to know each other and eventually becoming vulnerable with each other. We also want to see the overview of the work that's coming to play. Like I said, Eastside Pathways is always up to something. There's always things going on. So it's always fun to share and see what's going on, seeing yourself in the work, and seeing, the path ahead, what lies ahead for all of us. And lastly, hopefully you leave here feeling inspired, feeling rejuvenated, feeling like those batteries are charging up again, and just really grounding us with, just knowing that it's very hard to see that it can be done, but it's being done. We are moving the needle. We are making those small but mighty steps in the future. So it's really important to keep that in mind. And yeah, so I mean, what I love about meeting with Eastside Pathways is that I know for myself, especially when I first started in my position, there would be a lot of things that I would see, a lot of barriers, and I would notice myself a lot just talking about it, like, oh, there's this barrier here, and I don't know how we're gonna get done here. But what makes me really grateful to Eastside Pathways is that there would always be at least somebody that'll push me on them, like, okay, but what's the action? Like, what are you, there's this barrier, and then what are you going to do? So holding each other accountable is really important in this work too. So see if there's ways that folks are able to hold each other accountable. If you see someone in the chat that you want to connect with and you're interested in their work, connect. That chat feature is really powerful. Jamboard as well. It's because when we all act together, that's how we're able to change the system of an action at a time.
Right. And if you're ever unsure, just ask Kalika, because she'll tell you straight and in the best way possible. When I came as, like, I was a newbie and I was like, I want to do this and I want to do this. She's like, yeah, but how are you going to do this? Right.
Exactly.
And you need to hear that. So, yeah. With those results in mind, here's what you can expect from the plan for the morning. We're going to start, we're going to start with the recipient of last year's Bill's Hindensgaard Fund for Children Grant recipient, Sistema Escolar Liliana Medina. Oh, here's the agenda. Sorry, I was so excited about Liliana. I just skipped over the
I'm
agenda.
excited too. She knows I'm a fan. She knows I'm a fan. Love me some Liliana.
So here's our agenda for this morning. We will have a short break. I do encourage you to, look away from the computer, at times. It's like 20 seconds, 20 feet away. That, stretch. We're all friends here, so. And here we go.
Hi, I'm Liliana Medina, founder and director of Sistema Escolar USA. I am part of the Eastside Pathways Collective Action Network for Equity in Communications for Latino families of Bellevue School District and Lake Washington School District. I am also the happy winner of the grant Bill Henningsgaard in 2021. And with that grant, I was able to bring 12 workshops to Latino parents in Lake Washington School District and Bellevue School District about the American school system and its opportunities. Because our Latino parents need to learn about such a complex system and understand that there are many, many opportunities available for our Latino youth. Seeing what the collective work can accomplish has inspired me to continue with Sistema Escolar USA mission, because I know that there are several community-based organizations eager to work together for the collective wellness. Thank you, Eastside Pathways, for bringing all of these organizations and leading the way, showing us what we can accomplish and all the amazing things that we can accomplish when we work together. Happy and proud to be an Eastside Pathways partner.
And I must say very quickly, before we get to, this fun award right here, as someone that works for the Lake Washington School District, I've had the short time to really witness Liliana and her advocacy, her work, her passion for educating our Spanish-speaking Latino families, and the difference between the families coming in to the workshop and having all the questions and not knowing what to do and how to support their children in education, to when they leave with such rich knowledge. They leave like just feeling so good, like I can actually do this, like I can actually support my child when it comes to education and beyond. I'm eternally grateful for Liliana and Sistema Escolar. They've done a phenomenal job, always do so, and we are so fortunate to have her not only as our partner and everything, but also as a former Lake Washington School District parent. So definitely want to express my gratitude in this space. Oh, go ahead, Angela.
Oh no, I was gonna say, should I do the drum roll? Because
let's do it. If you're at your office, just go and do it. Like, so we're gonna see our 2022 winner, and I'm so honored to share this with you all. Congratulations to Youth Eastside Services. You are the new recipient of the Bill Henningsgaard Fund for Children, and like, for me, this is full circle, but I know for all of you, we all can speak on the impact of Youth Eastside Services in the community. Hands down, they're a pillar. I consider them a pillar. And we want to congratulate them on improving their own practices designed to ultimately better support youth of color experiencing mental health crises. This is another organization that's been crucial in our communities. I know with the pandemic and with a lot of the tragedy, loss, joy that's been happening out in the East Side, especially when it comes to our young people, Youth Eastside services, they always show up, always come through every time. And for me, it's full circle because I used to be in Latino Heat, which is one of their Latin groups, cultural identity groups and everything. And if it wasn't for that group, I wouldn't be in this position right now because someone spoke life into me. Is folks from Youth Eastside, excuse me, Youth Eastside Services. So congratulations, very, very well deserved. And we can't wait to hear what more exciting things y'all have in store for the community. Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations. All right. I wonder if you all thought that this wasn't going to happen, but you know, if you go to EP, if you go to any meeting, gracious space always happens. At this meeting, yeah, no exception. Since relationship is so key and one of the identified results for today, you'll have the opportunity to discuss these two reflection questions. First, some context. The burnout that people are experiencing is real. We just talked about the Bill H. Award to support youth's mental health. If we, the adults in our system and our community, are not mentally healthy, how can we expect our youth to be mentally healthy? Reflect for a moment on these two questions. Think about what comes up for you. Jot down a few thoughts for 30 seconds, and I'll give you 30 seconds now. We'd like to invite you to share in your breakout rooms. You'll be placed in rooms of 3, and you'll have 10 minutes to introduce yourselves and share what came up for you. Vicki, can you please move folks to the breakouts? All right, feel free to share in the chat or unmute yourself, put your camera on and tell us, you know, what came out of that gracious space.
Maybe Michael could share from our group. Michael, you want to do that?
Sure. Good morning. Michael Itti, he, him with CISE, Chinese Information and Service Center. And I try not to look at my work phone or, work emails over the weekend. And that way I have 2 days of letting my mind rest. So I'm not just constantly churning about work when I'm brushing my teeth or making food. So Monday, it seems like a fresher start and just a better start to the week when I don't feel like I'm working 7 days a week.
And that was a universal theme in our group.
I'd like to share as well. You hear me? So I was with a group with Junko and Megan. Again, Megan, welcome to your first EP partners meeting. And I love the saying that she shared with us, which is you can't pour from an empty cup. And I think that makes sense because we do so much to pour ourselves and to help others that sometimes we forget to check ourselves if we're really pouring out empty already. And also through through COVID, we're working with sometimes virtually, but there's no hard stop, right? So it's so easy to be tethered to technology that's one of the things that are the downside of technology. There's no hard stop. So something to keep in mind.
I'll share. I was with Eva and is it Lorena? I don't like pronouncing people's name the wrong way.
It's Lauren, that's perfect.
Lauren, yeah. So we have the same thinking, and I was telling them that I woke up this morning and my laptop and all my papers were in bed sleeping with me, and they all shared the same, that they do the same. And so I said we just need to remember to disengage. But when you have two things working in your head, you dealing with people, it always tends to happen. But I'll try not to do that. And Lorraine or Eva, you can share.
I would just second what you said, and trying to disconnect and trying to model disconnecting for our staff so that they feel comfortable to do so as well. Not the easiest thing.
Right. The ripple effect can be huge, especially if we're modeling the disconnect and trying to disconnect.
That's so true. Is there anyone else that'd like to share? I see a lot in the chat. Together we're better. I love that, Barb.
I could just say really briefly that we were noticing the difference between stopping work and actually getting your brain to turn off about work, and that that often, like, that's the thing that's actually the biggest strain for me, is that I never stop thinking about work, even if I'm like, okay, I've done my hours, I've, like, you know, completed the thing that I'm supposed to be doing, but like getting it out of your brain space is actually like much more challenging to me than like walking away from my desk and my computer.
And I'm just going to pile on with that, piggyback on that. I know sometimes you just can't get away, but creating small spaces for myself. I have the Calm app. So I will take a 15-minute breathing exercise in the space that I'm in. If I can't get out, but I'm conscious about trying to get out, and take a short walk or just breathe. But in those instances where, you know, things are just, you know, I can't stop, I, you know, can at least take a little reprieve just using some of the tools that I have on my phone, like the Calm app, and, you know, just other breathing and meditation exercises.
I want to jump in here. This is Kalika. Hearing everyone say this, I'm going to put my backbone hat on. And I have heard a couple organizations who are starting to include that process of like decompressing or prepping as a part of your paid workday, right? And I think when we think about what busy looks like, historically, it's about physically looking busy. And so just encouraging folks to think about, in your leadership positions, are you including prep and de-prep or decompressing as a part of the paid workday, right? Like that reflection after a meeting, is that being a part of the paid workday, or people bleeding into their personal time while still in service of work? So that's one thing I'm really thankful for our team, is that we block that prep and reflection time into our workday. So just want to encourage folks to be curious about how you might personally change your calendar and how you block that out, or in a leadership position, how you're encouraging your staff to do the same.
I also wanted to add to that with regards to things that you can do at work. I think one thing that really helps me with regards to when things are really busy is shifting my mindset from like long game idea, like, do I need to respond to this right now? Is this something that's going to happen within the next 24 hours? If not, I'm playing the long game, especially for, you know, things where we're facing systemic issues, systemic racism, a lack of funding and stuff like that. Being able to change it, it's not going to change overnight. So I need to reserve my energy to be prepared to be in it for the long haul. So that's what I do to help myself when I feel myself approaching burnout, is I give myself the space and the mindset to allow for things to have a longer timeline.
I love that. And someone in the chat mentioned boundaries. Boundaries are extremely important, especially when you're dealing with youth. High schoolers, they tend to want to talk to you at 11 o'clock when they're just, you know, have nothing else going on and they want to bother you, and setting those boundaries like, hey, I'm sleeping. It's very important. Does anybody else want to share?
I can go. One thing I'm finding is, I was mentioning with Vietsapan and Yana in our chat, is working with out of school community organizations, right? Like there's school time, then kids have activities. And so evening is their time to work on the projects we're working on. So all the questions come in the evening and I need to answer, because if I delay it, then a couple more days go. And then our projects are on the weekend. And so I feel like I'm always working 7 days a week. And so during the workday, I have meetings like this one, or my, like organization meetings or other meetings with partners, and then in the evening, I'm with answering to the kids, and the weekends I have projects, right? So I'm trying to find where can I, what changes can I make? And I was mentioning about, if I don't have morning meetings, I'm trying really hard, even though I know I have to answer to those emails, I'm trying really hard to wait until noon to log on, unless I see something very important, right? So I'm slowly trying to make those changes. It's hard, but that's where I'm headed.
Yeah, I read somewhere that they said you should schedule your week with one day, absolutely no meetings, absolutely no meetings. And you stick to it. And you say, I'll meet you any other day except for this day. Let's see if we can get that going.
Angela, I love that idea. And I think that will work if leaders make that, right. A kind of a organizational, like, I would love to say Monday, no meeting days. Monday is admin days where you answer emails and you get caught up. So I will see if I can make that happen at Bellevue LifeSpring.
Jennifer, yes.
Come on, accountability. All right, we're going to hold you to that, Jennifer.
We'll be talking to you every week. How's it going? I love it.
One of the things that we talked about in our group was, people versus productivity, and that burnout is often associated with lack of productivity. That people are burnt out, so they can't achieve or they can't perform at the high level. And it really is individually about the people. Some people thrive working at home, some don't. Some need that personal interaction. I was explaining that I've got a 26-year-old daughter that is not doing well working from home. And I've got on my team, introverts that are like loving it, and extroverts are like, no, I need to be in person. And we've been working from home for 2 years and don't know when we're going back. So I'm trying to create that connection for those that want it. But it is a big challenge, this remote business.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that, Jennifer, because yes, it's hard to break away from that norm, from that traditional, like, 5 days a week, we come in and all that, but it's part of that adaptive change, right? Like, if we want to see that everyone feels good and capable and fulfilled enough to be able to produce, like, not just work, but meaningful work, and it fulfills them and it makes them feel good, then we have to do things that we've probably never done before. And it'll be rocky and shaky at first, but yes, over time, we will see those dividends too. But you always have to have the willingness to try, and I commend you for that.
We have about 2 more minutes. If anyone else wants to share, we can move on from talking about the burnout, and hopefully the next time we all meet, we'll be talking about how our Monday no meeting days and how refreshed we feel when we come back to work after a weekend of not looking at our phones and our computers. That'd be nice.
I would encourage folks, if you're on your computer or your phone, to open your calendar up. You know how I am. I'm direct, Angela. Pull your calendar, your phone out right now and find a day that has no meetings on it and block it out. Be wild. I dare you. Do it right now.
Because
if you don't, it's going to fill up. So if we've got that minute left, I really encourage folks to do it. Block it out.
How about if you're doing that right now, there you go. Put it in the chat. Be like, done, check mark. I need to do that too. No lie.
I love it. September. People are scrolling really far ahead.
Someone said 2030. No, 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 no.
You're working way too much if you can't block out one day until 2030.
Can
I
I
promise you, the
can I
world's not
just
going to
add-
stop. We got
Andy,
it.
go
Yes,
ahead.
please.
Oh, I was just going to add one last thing. Well, since it seemed like we had a moment, I was just going to say that I think the burnout is real and I think part of it, there's a lot of reasons for it, and it goes back by degrees. One is the necessity of our communities. Of course, we all know during, especially the last 2 years, has necessitated almost round the clock in person availability. I mean, that's just real. The second thing is not being able to always have the resources. And I'm sure almost everyone on this call can relate to what I'm going to say, not having the resources to be able to acquire larger space, hire staff, get more help. That is the other thing. I don't think it's so much a function as managing time all the time. It's a function of resources. And when we don't have proper funding and we don't have proper space and we don't have proper resources, I don't think any of us probably ever feel comfortable turning someone away. And so when that call comes at 7 o'clock and a mother, just like the call I got 2 days ago, a mother doesn't have a place to sleep that night with her kids. I've got 2 staff members working on it. And if I had more staff, maybe things would be different. And if we had proper funding, maybe things would be different. So I think it's good to know the things we can do ourselves, but a lot of this is not in our hands. A lot of it is, taking each other and advocating as a group and saying, we need this support because our communities need the support. It's not for us, it's for all the people that we're serving. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah. That's
Thank you for putting out that truth, Angie, because it's true. There's some organizations that they have enough resources to be able to do that. But then, let's talk about the reality too. The pandemic, a lot of organizations have stepped up and they've done their thing, but then also it's just that tough balance of not having enough resources. So then you have staff that, they have jobs, they have things to take care of and everything, but then it's not, there's that disalignment in everything. So I love that call to action that, if we're going to talk about self-care and everything, it's not only just an individual thing, it needs to be a systemic support.
Yeah.
Because we can't realistically do that if we don't have that. And I love that call to actions for everyone to advocate for each other. Because I'm a huge fan of Centro Cultural Mexicano. Y'all have really always been there, but for the community, y'all are a huge pillar. A lot of families, a lot of our Latinx families rely on organizations like yours, but we got to make sure that we can also support that too, and that cities and governments are also doing their part to support organizations like yours as well. So yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Angie. No, you don't. Everyone is here because they love what they do. They love working with the community. They love working with youth. And no, you don't want to say no to anyone. If someone comes for help at 11 o'clock at night, and you are feeling that no one else will help them and it's just you, there's a problem, right? We all know that. We should know that we can lean on each other. And so Angie, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you everyone for sharing. I loved this discussion. I wish we can continue it. Right, Catherine? I think we could have a whole meeting just on talking about all of these things. But we have to move on, and I'm really excited for this next part. There have been some naysayers along the path of collective impact and making systems change. Many have said it can't be done, and today we have several examples of it happening right here in East King County, which we'll be sharing throughout the morning and a bit farther away. Since Eastside Pathways is part of the Strive Together national network with the other 69 communities around the country making change through collective impact, we often get the opportunity to be inspired by making change, to be inspired by other communities. We'd like to share a video of one of our Strive Together communities, Milwaukee Succeeds, which showcases how they are modifying their practices to ensure support specifically for young Black males. Take a look.
This coalition will be different. We seek to work alongside youth as partners, valuing their opinions, their experiences, and seeing them as experts on the issues they face each day.
Our Youth for Milwaukee Coalition aspires to break this cycle of misuse by co-designing solutions with youth using a racial equity lens, by supporting them as they learn to navigate and influence existing systems that impede education outcomes, by paying them for their time and expertise, and positioning them at decision-making tables to ensure that there's representation, diverse perspectives in what's usually homogeneous spaces.
It wasn't until we took the time to listen, learn, and most importantly, admit where we had failed, that we decided on the strategies we would commit to moving forward. Our Design Your Future Fellowship proved that even during the most challenging times, like a pandemic, it is possible to create an inclusive and vibrant space where young people feel valued and empowered to create real change in their community.
And by no means has this work been easy. We had to resist our typical ways of being, waiting until youth were consulted before we set our strategic priorities, resisting the urgency of decision makers to provide them with metrics and data points before we set a clear direction, investing in our youth by securing funds to compensate them fairly, and fighting when questioned about our focus on Black male youth.
Each day, our city is plagued by violence and trauma that sends shockwaves throughout our community, impacting us all, but no one more than our Black youth.
If we were able to actualize this goal, it would move the mindset of Black male youth as deficits into a mindset of assets, in that they're contributing to the community and that they're active members of the community who have value and who are valuable.
To do this work well, we knew that we needed to prioritize youth as architects of their own destinies. And although we often talk the talk of youth voice in our work, we often fall short.
As adults, sometimes it's hard for us to give up that power in some of those spaces, especially to young people when, we think that we have more experience or we can do it. But it's an opportunity for adults to just be vulnerable and to trust that young people can make those decisions and be at the table with them as well.
The more young people that we can empower, instill these kind of values into, the more likely we are to have the impact that we want to see.
And it's crucial for us to continue to provide programs and spaces where they can show up, they can learn skills, explore their own talents, and find spaces to lead.
We must fight for system transformation and policy change that sustains change and holds those in power accountable. What is central to this coalition is a commitment to operating differently. We must come together to support the most vulnerable and most important in our community because they are our future. I am hopeful that change will come because I see the talent, resilience, and courage of our youth. They will lead us forward.
Awesome. It's always great to see those examples of organizations and folks and institutions that they are modeling what we want to see and what we know works in our communities, in our societies. And it really sets the tone, and it creates those ripple effects too. And I feel like with our next speaker, no exception. He definitely fits the bill. So I'd love to introduce you all to Victor Vergara, who is the Executive Director of Equity and Student Success at the Edmonds School District. Welcome, Victor. We're really happy to have you here. Yeah, I mean, he's outside of East King County and everything, but he's closer by, so he's still part of us, part of our group. So we're really happy to have you here.
Thank you. Good morning. Buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
Hey, I was paying attention about those strategies, how you what you might you stop doing to address burnout, and I was taking a lot of notes here, so I like some of those strategies. I don't know if I can implement some of them, especially the one about blocking a day, but I can try. I guess I can block Saturday and Sunday for sure, right? But
there you go.
Other than that, there you go. Hey, thank you for having me. So again, my name is Victor Vergara. He can pronounce. I'm the Executive Director of Equity and Student Success in Edmonds School District. This is my second year. We serve a population of about 21,000 students that speak about 129 different languages. We're 56% diversity. We went from, in 1 year, we went from 53 to 56%. Having Latina students, families is the majority with 21%. Okay, so again, our students and families speak about 129 different languages. So I want to share with you a little bit today about our work. And our work is totally connected with your theme today. They say can't be done, but it's being done. Can I share my screen? Thumbs up if you can see my screen, please. Okay, so connected with your topic, right? So, or in my world, we say, si nosotros no, ¿quién? If no us, who? If no now, when? Okay, and I think that has been the theme and the topic since day number one. And I'm speaking on my behalf, but also on behalf of Dr. Gustavo Valderas, our superintendent, who sadly he's leaving us to go and work in a different district in the state of Oregon. But for the last 2 years, we have worked hard. And since day number one, we came with the idea of what are we going to do and how are we going to take action? Okay, and that has been the work. And so I want to share with you a little bit today some of our initiatives and some things that we have worked for the last 2 years. So let's see. Oh, and let me put this in presentation mode. So first, I want to share with you our Edmonds School District race and equity framework. So this is something that I developed with the team, and really after so many listening sessions with different stakeholders 2 years ago. And we gathered lots of data. And one of the things that we realized, number one, a lot of people are in the awareness space, right? So a lot of people are reflecting on their personal identities and experiences and assumptions. There are raised this consciousness about racism, bias, and biases. And really, they're trying to understand the system inequities, right? Trying to look at data and trying to understand white fragility. That was one of the topics that we and themes that we find out after those listening sessions. So then also we had some people that they were in the learning and inquiry side, and really trying to elevate those voices of BIPOC community and student community families, and learning from and with students and families. And some people, they were doing the data and evaluation and really thinking about with that growth mindset. So since day number one, I say, okay, so you are doing a little bit of that awareness. Some of you are in the learning and inquiry stage, but let's go into the action. Okay, so in the action, which in many areas for us is number one, creating inclusive schools, right? Proactive in terms of anti-racism behaviors, changing policies and practices, which is extremely important, at least in our organization, right? So that we must have policies and practices in place that they support this equity work, deconstructing whiteness, and really interrupting and dismantling inequitable practices. And that is really important for me personally, interrupting and dismantling inequitable practices, asking questions and go in depth and take action. So what you see right here is, again, those three areas with the equity in the center when we think about students, families, and schools, but also we believe that this is the culture that we need to keep creating in an ongoing basis for us as an organization. We are about 5,000 employees. Okay, so from the superintendent, from the board member, all the way to educators, nutrition services, transportation, every single person that is part of our system in systems, right? So being systematic about the work, but also holding ourselves and others accountable. Otherwise, this is not going to happen. So I want to share with you a few things that we had done in the last couple of years. Step number one was let's define what equity means for us. Because when I came, people were giving us 100 different definitions of equity. Okay, so equity for us are the intentional actions to ensure equity across all measures and to provide access, inclusion, and opportunity for all students. Access, inclusion, and opportunity. So then we invite people to look at and really explore the idea of using an equity lens when you're making decisions. So what that really means, right? An equity lens, as you all know, is just a set of questions that you ask, that they are when you are making decisions about policies, about programs, about budget expenditures, etc. So do you have the right people on the table? As this is connected to our strategic plan, to our mission and vision, whom does this decision affect, both positively, negatively, etc. So the idea of really being smart on how we're making decisions, right, and thinking about our student population. So also back in November of 2021, yes, 2021, I'm trying to think here. So about 2 years ago, after all the listening stations, I talked to superintendent. I said, listen, we need to come up with some goals, some equity goals. We have a strategic plan. We have other type of goals. What about equity goals? So after, again, gathering all the information from different stakeholders, we came up with this and introduced these 10 equity goals in front of the board, which really, when we think about equity work in our system, we're pretty much everywhere. Okay, so that equity lens, that equity hat, that equity conversation must be everywhere. So we came up and designed all these 10 equity goals, and with the idea of have come up with some action plans under each of these goals with long and short-term goals. Okay, now you need to understand that this is massive work, right? So this is a lot of work. I mean, this is not about okay, we're gonna go and in 1 year we're gonna be done with this, right? So this is an ongoing work, and right now we have some priorities, like number 8, recruit and retain diverse and culturally competent administrators, teachers, and staff. That's our priority. We have 56% of diversity within our students, and we have less than 10% diversity within our staff. And just to give you an example, at the central office, we're about 300 employees, and I believe we're 4 or 5 people of color, right? So we need to change that, and we need to do something about it, right? Also, it's important for us, number 5, is our priority, is training connections and collaboration partnerships with English language learners and the families and communities. So how are we doing this work? How are we welcoming our students and their families? How our students are feeling that they belong to our schools and our system? About 4 weeks ago, we got about 17 Afghanistan families and students in our schools. And I want to tell you, we were ready. We were ready to welcome them, and we had systems in place. So that is what I'm talking about. Also, number 6, close academic achievement gaps. We're still seeing a lot of gaps, right? Gaps that we had talked for years. between different groups and different populations, not only ethnicity, but also when we think about English learners, students with disabilities, etc. So what are we doing about that? So we identify some priorities for this school year. And one of the big ones, and that we're moving is slowly but surely, is under in the FITS goal 1, 2, and 3. We are creating a bias and hate incident report system for our students, employees, and parents. Right now, if you are witness of microaggression, or you are going through microaggression yourself in our system, we don't have a place or way for you to report that. Okay, we don't. So I have investigated and doing some research for the last 8-9 months on this, and what are we gonna do? Because I'm the one who gets the phone calls. I'm the ones who, right, get the phone calls and say, Mr. Vergara, I have this situation going on and I don't know what to do, right? And retaliation and you name it, right? All these things that come when we wanna proceed with this investigations and these reports. So then the idea again is to create this form that mainly the idea is to prevent incidents from happening and really try to figure out how to solve them. So with that, we also have created a bias accountability and support team. So we have a team of about 12 people, and actually we met yesterday is the first time, which different stakeholders and different representation from different unions and different groups. But the idea is for us to really be experts on this topic, okay? Be expert, and we're gonna go through trainings. I mean, yesterday was the first one with an expert in civil rights. And, you know, we have another one that is coming from OSPI, also around the do's and don'ts, okay? So the legal requirements and all the way to bringing our own experiences and really understand how to support others. But the support team, again, the idea for that team is to recommend appropriate actions, right? Preventative and responsive, also ensuring multiple perspectives are held when discussing incidents. Also, we're gonna collect and share data monthly and share this with the Edmond School District in terms of the number of incidents and themes that we're seeing or we're identifying, and the idea of educating staff members around issues of bias. So in terms of school districts, we are the first school district in the state of Oregon that is going in this direction, okay? So, and saying that, there's not many models out there in terms of how to do this work, so we're creating, navigating, but I'm happy that we are moving forward because it's much needed. In terms of goal number 4, 2 of our priorities for this year. Number 1 was to actually, this is our second year that we have a student superintendent advisory to the board. So we have a group of about 21 students that they are meeting regularly. I mean, to the board and superintendent, they're meeting regularly with superintendent once a month. And also I'm providing professional development for them. So we had 21 representatives from all of our schools, different ethnicities, GPA, subgroups, you name it. The idea is to have good representation. And what we do is to not only have the ability to meet with the superintendent and the board, but also we're providing them professional development and how to become leaders, how to be advocates, how to advocate for what they think is right and right in their schools or anywhere they go. So we're happy that this is going on. We have a really strong team, and this team actually was the key on creating our first annual Leadership Student Summit, which happened April 20th, about 3 weeks ago. And we had 300 students, high school students, that they attended one-day conference here at the Edmonds Performing Arts. And we had Dolores Huerta as our keynote. Dolores Huerta, she's 96 years old, and she does only 5 events per year. And our students convinced her to come, and she agreed, and she was here, and it was just amazing. I mean, 96-year-old, you know, and talking with high school students for 1 hour, engaging as high school students for an hour. I mean, that's pretty amazing. So, and I can share, we have a short video that I can share with you, but it was just amazing. We were wanting to make it, you know, the first one is the best we could, and we did, and we have really good keynotes. Christian Page was another keynote that he was in lunchtime, and kids, they were fascinated. They you know, I don't know, I was in tears. I really, I mean, having this, and we want to make it bigger and better. Next year, our goal is to have 1,000 kids, right? And why? Because they need this, because they need a space, they need opportunity, they need to know that we're here for them in all aspects, right? Not only academics. We're doing a lot of school-based equity work. Last year, we did a lot of big picture work. We did big training, 7 hours last year for all our employees, what I call Equity 101, so basics, all the way from vocabulary to what equity means in our schools, in our district. So right now, this year, we're doing more school-based equity work. We're going more in depth and really listening what schools are going through and struggling with. All the way from restorative justice, so community circles, right, to leading and facilitating courageous conversations, etc. So I have a team of my team that works with me, and also have a few consultants that they're helping me with this. So the idea is to keep moving and going all the way to specifics on schools and how we can do and really intervene and really go and really specific about this. And each school is collecting data and sharing that data with us. And in trainings, we continue with the trainings. So this year we're offering also 7 hours of training for all our employees, starting with certificated. Actually, it's coming up in about a couple of weeks. But again, certificated building principles, classify central office. And here are the topics that we are paying attention this year to. So gender inclusive, responding to bias and microaggressions, asset versus deficit, and really understanding what our students are bringing with them, family and community engagement, applying an equity lens in decision making, and equity infused social emotional learning, sense of belonging. So those are the main topics that we have identified. And again, our goal is to offer this to all our employees. And it really takes time, right? I mean, again, we're close to 5,000 employees, only 1,400 teachers, right? But we're excited that we're moving in that direction. And really, I always want to remind people that this is not only about accountability, but also about the support that I can give you to be successful, right? So we cannot expect and hold people accountable without giving them support. And I want to finish my presentation here with something that we started 2 years ago, which the name is eHub. And let me see here. Okay, let me share again. Can you see my screen? Yes, okay. So Edmond's Hub, or eHub, was created back in November 30th of 2020. Why? Because like some of you explained, right, sometimes we get those calls 11 o'clock at night or 6 in the morning that our families and the students need help. So we are, since back in 2020, we have revamped the identification of McKinney-Vento students, so students that qualify for McKinney-Vento services or homelessness. And right now we're in about 550. When we first started, we had about 320 identified students. So that's telling us two things: that we are doing a better job identifying students, but also that the needs are growing, right? So there are more. So with that, back in November, September, actually, that year when I first arrived, I started asking questions. So what's going on? We're gonna go all in Zoom and all online. So what's going on with McKinney-Vento students and homeless students? How are they doing this? And I got zero answer. So nobody knew. So we started investigating, and right away we realized that many of them didn't have a place to attend classes. They didn't have connectivity. They didn't have a laptop. So we, with the help of community and different community members and stakeholders, we were able to open an eHub, which is pretty much the concept is like going to coffee place, right? Where you want to study, like it's what I used to do, right? Go to Starbucks or any coffee place and get concentrated on my work. So that's what we created. And we started with one kid. I was there the first day and one student show up. And now it's increasing. So, and the idea again was to offer you name it, from food, right? We work with food and nutrition department, technology, facilities, transportation. So since opening, and this is all 100 kids served, I think right now we're about 250 students. So in any regular week, you get about 20 to 50 kids that they go there. They already know where to go. Now we had to modify because now we're in person. So now they're attending in the afternoon after school. Okay. So great. And again, it's open from K to 12, right? From an average of 20 students per day. So again, they have access to transportation, para support, stable technology, laundry services, meals, breakfast, lunch, snacks, pantry, shelf stable, frozen and meal kits, and hygiene products and clothing as needed. So all the way for students to go and they can take food home, right? Or parents, they can come and do laundry, right? So we have the whole system going here for them. So here you have some pictures with some of the pantry items and donations that come from community members. And this is some of the activities, right, in collaboration with different, again, stakeholders that they have access to different activities. So why I want to share that with you, because I think that's one of the projects that I'm more proud of, because again, 2 years ago, these kids did not have a place to be, did not have connectivity, and we have some students and families that are sleeping in cars. So that's my passion. That's what I do. That's why I'm here. And you know, but again, it takes a team, takes a village to do this, right? So again, we're all happy and excited the direction that we're going. The work is not done. We have a lot of work in front of us. But again, if it's not us, who, right? So who, and if it's not now, when? So thank you. Thanks for your time. Any questions?
Oh, see, the questions they're gonna be flying. But before we do that and everything, everyone just please give it up for Dr. Vergara. So inspiring. We're really excited that you're here. So without further ado, we'll go ahead with questions. See a good amount of folks raising their hand and everything. So go ahead and unmute and go ahead and share.
Do you want us to just start out?
You got this, SB. Good to see you, by the way.
Yeah, good to see you too, Catherine. My name is Esperanza, and I'm with Eastside Legal Assistance Program. Thank you so much for your presentation. More importantly, thank you for the work that you're doing, because it's very difficult work. So my question to you is, what are some of the challenges that you're facing? What is some of the pushback that you're getting? Because with this work, there's always pushback. It's not always readily received by 100% of the participants, or yeah. And the other thing is, I was glad to hear of all the ways that this place that you've created for the students to come in, and you have laundry services. How do you think that sometimes what happens with families is there's the stigma to going and using a washer and dryer in the school, right? Because the kids are embarrassed. I don't want my mom bringing our laundry to the school, or going to the food pantry. I don't want the other kids knowing that we need food, and that's because they get made fun of in the, on the playground, what have you. And what ways have you thought of to kind of get around that stigma and that shame that gets put on people? Because one of the things I think of is, if there's a way, and you might have already done this, is if there's a way of turning it into a training for the young people, or a training that includes the parents, so that the children see their parents in a leadership role in this particular effort, right? And it changes the narrative for not just that child, but it changes the narrative for their friends in the school. because there's such a stigma and shame in a society that says you're supposed to do it all yourself. You're supposed to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. And if you ask for any help or do anything outside of what you can do, then you're weak and your family isn't as strong as my family. So how have you seen that, and how are you addressing that?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me start with that question first. And I think number one, I think it's all about relationships and building relationships with families. So I think our team does a really good job building those relationships and making sure that people really understand that this is for them, and there's no questions asked. Right? You have the opportunity to come and in our eHub. I think the advantage is that we're not located within school. We are separate. I mean, we're in the old Alderwood Middle School building, but we're on the side. So it's not inside of the school. So it's a little bit more private, I want to say. So maybe that is helping. Yeah. But you're right, Esperanza. Two things. One, and kind of is connected with your first question. I think we really need to think outside the box when we do these things. I mean, we need to think and act. So we started with one kid 2 years ago. And now we're thinking about replicate this across town and have 2 or 3 other eHubs. Why? Because we see that it's important. We see that it's needed, right? So that is what I'm working on right now and trying to figure out funding and all that. But the idea is not just to have this is a place for the students, but also families. Okay, so COVID, it did not help us with that, but now we're start planning about support for parents and families. So we want to offer classes at nighttime. We want them to have this place for them to come and do have meetings or whatever they want, they need. We're thinking about GED, citizenship, I mean, you name it, English classes. So pretty much in other places they call it Parent Academy, right? So we're wanting to do that. That's the next step on this. So not only for the students, but also for the families. In terms of the pushback, I think you're right. I get pushback every day. Okay, I mean, for anything. I mean, and I think I want to take you back to our framework. So I'm in the actionist piece, and because I'm in the action piece, I get pushback every single day. Every single day of my life. I get an email, a phone call, you name it. People wanting to telling me how I just doing the wrong thing here in our community. And I just listen. I think I have created what I call in my doctoral dissertation, a thick skin, right? Thick skin around me. So it doesn't really affect me. And I think I learned that is with my own personal experiences. Yesterday I had to speak to another group and I share about the amount of microaggressions and bias incidents that I've been, involved until, I was telling this team, well, just this year, maybe 12 or 14 of them, right? So it happens every day. And some of them, I choose to say something, and some others really, okay, whatever. I need to keep moving. Otherwise, I will not be here. So, and I think that helps me also to keep, and also I told this team yesterday, I just turned 50 about a few days ago. So maybe I'm getting older and I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I need to speak up. Why? Because 20 years ago, I used to be a teacher and we used to have the same conversations. So how and when it's going to be the time that we are really making a difference here?
Yeah.
Right? And we need to call things out, and we need to, and if people are not happy, I'm sorry, but this is the right work. I'm getting pushed back from because we are recognizing LGBTQ community. I'm getting pushed back because we recognize Black Lives Matter. You name it. And this is somebody saying this is the right work. And again, I always tell people, if I'm gonna get fired because I'm doing the right work, I will be happy to get fired. But nobody is going to stop me of doing this work. Okay? That's what I love it.
Yeah. That I think that's something that's absolutely necessary, that commitment.
But also, Esperanza, this is not about one person, and that is the part that, right? This is about a team. This is about every single person. I'm the one who is facilitating and had the label, my title, but this cannot be done just one person. So and again, I'm calling things out. I'm calling. I mean, just 2 days ago, I was in a meeting with a situation where we had racist comments from one of our staff members, and I call it out.
Yeah, good.
And I call it out, and I say that is not acceptable in our district anymore. So that is, you know, again, I don't know, because I'm getting older, but that is how I'm answering now. So thank you for the questions. But again, you know, the pushback is there. I think it's about the idea is how to being smart about how to respond the pushback, right? And sometimes I give people time and I listen and I say, you have your point of view, I have my point of view, and this is the right work right now. So Edmonds, as we all know, used to be pretty white many years ago. Not anymore. Not anymore. So and really I have some you know, questions and big concerns all the time. Today, as soon as I woke up, I was looking on Facebook about this auction that is going on and happening in one of our schools, kind of the wealthy schools. And then right away, my brain is, wow, these guys are going to make a lot of money, but we have a lot of schools that don't even have a PTA. So how fair is that for our kids? Right? So that's what I'm here for. I think we have more people with questions, and I'm not sure how long do we have, but I'm here. So.
Go ahead, Miss Adam.
A lot of things in my head, but it's all excitement. And I applaud Eastside Pathway for bringing you on. But while I'm laughing and shaking my head is the piece that you said, just keep on pushing the button. I am that kind of a girl too. Many years I just sit behind and be quiet, but nowadays I don't feel like I need to be quiet, because if we sit down and be quiet, nothing is going to be done. But I'm happy what's happening at Edmonds, because I live in the east side here in Bellevue, but most of my in family and kids, uncles and stuff live around that area, and they go to school there. And the languages you are speaking about, most of them speak those languages. But what I want to tell you is thank you for doing this, because it needed to be done. And we come in all shapes, colors, and sizes. And I don't think our youths need to see this. And I know it's going to be hard. And I have a lot of questions, but I don't even know where to begin, because I'm just emotional of just seeing it build. Because I'm like, when I make my talk about Africans on the East Side or anything that I do, I always talk about the unforgotten ones. And I'm glad that you are the voice, the reasoning of saying this, and not scared to say it, because most people wouldn't go this far. And the plan that you build, I hope it stays, and we're here. And I'm excited to see where the journey is going, because those kids also belong here, and their voices need to be heard. And them running the streets and doing stuff is not what we want. So first and most, like I said, thank you. And also Eastside Pathway, thank you for starting this dialogue. This has been needed decade ago. My kids are all grown now, but I think I'm getting stronger each day of doing the work through them. And we're here and to support you. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you so much. And again, you know, I'm the one who comes with the crazy ideas, but I have a team, a big team, right, that goes and say, okay, let's do it, right, and team that follows, and team that believes and trusts that this is the right work. But again, we're not done. We have so much work in front of us. I mean, we just hired last year the first Latina principal, the first Latina principal. I mean, 2021, right? So, I mean, we have 2 principals of color out of 37, right? So the work is there, and I think it's key that I give a lot of time for people to have conversations, and really I like to mentor people. I'm also the president of this organization that we have created 3 years ago called WALAS, Washington Association of Latino, Latina Administrators and Superintendents, which is an organization not only for Latino, Latina people, but for people of color. And our goal and mission is to provide support and open doors for aspiring leaders of our schools, districts and communities. So we have about 200 members, and we're last weekend in October, we will have our first in-person conference with, I was expecting about 200, 250 people attending. But it's all about, again, opening doors. It's all about working in collaboration in our communities together, because this cannot be isolated work. Any other questions? I believe we have.
Yes, Tariq, do you have a question?
Oh, yeah, I just want to say the presentation was awesome. I think someone asked earlier, would you mind sharing that presentation? Oh, I mean, I understand if you don't want to, but I thought it was
absolutely.
A lot.
No, absolutely. I can send it. I can send it to Kalika or yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
I will send it to you. Yeah, not a problem. And if you have any further questions, specific questions about the eHub or any of those systems that we are putting in place, just feel free to reach out. I will add my email to the presentation and we can set up a meeting. Like I say, I love to get to know people and establish those relationships. I'm new to the community still, so.
Hey, can I just make a request of you?
Yes.
I think you would be an excellent person to do a training to other people who have your role in other school districts, because we have people that are well-meaning, that took those jobs because they really want to make those changes. And I think need mentoring and need the, to build the courage to do the right thing. It's not easy doing the right thing. And we want to make sure that those folks that have those roles get the support that they need. And to be honest, I'll be very blunt. And if they're not there for that reason, but it's a career move out of the way.
Absolutely.
And let somebody like you have that role, because we need to make those changes.
I agree. And, and thank you so much. I had done some of that work, but if anybody, if you want to connect me with anyone, just feel free to do that. One thing I think in our role, one thing that we need to make sure is, you're right. Number one, that we're here for the right reason, right? For our kids, but also that we're willing to take those risks and not being afraid. I mean, I'm not, I'm not. I mean, I'm not afraid to ask questions. I'm not afraid to go and explore what's going on in our systems. Tomorrow, for example, I'm going to spend a couple hours visiting international baccalaureate IB classrooms in one of our high schools. And I know, because I already look at the data, that less than 2% of our students attending those advanced classes are students of color. So let me tell you, in confidentiality, the administrator and the IB coordinator, they're afraid. Because I'm gonna ask questions, right? But I'm there. I will be there tomorrow, visit classrooms, and I'm gonna ask those questions. And also I'm gonna say, so what's next? Because that cannot be possible that we have 56% of diversity, but only 2% of the students are attending those classes, right? So that is a work. Asking the right questions and offering the support, right? It's not only holding them accountable, but what support are we offering? We're going to offer as a system, as a district. I see a couple more hands.
It's hot. But yes, go ahead, Cynthia. And then Vicky, you let us know too if we have time for Carlos. We'll probably end it with him.
So, hola. Good morning. Buenos dias, Dr. Victor. I'm so excited just to be here. I did have some coffee this morning, so I'm really energetic. And I just wanted to know a little bit more about the Wallace event, to see if maybe you can share more about that. Is it just open to everyone? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Wallace, and let me see if I can find here something. So Wallace, again, Wallace was created only about 3 years ago, and it was just the need of having this organization that is going to help our aspiring leaders. And again, this is not only for Latinos, but there is a website, and you can explore more about our vision and mission and what we do. And again, our idea, this is a nonprofit organization. Our idea is just to open doors for people of color. Again, everywhere I go, right, this is my 6th or 7th district that I work at. I'm always the only one. It's only few of us, right? So that must change. That needs to change. So that's why we're creating this, and we're connected with a national organization called ALAS, a National Association of Latin Administrators, and we need to keep doing this work, right, and providing opportunities for people of color. So check the website. Is information about the conference there, and our board. And if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out.
Thank you so much.
I begged Vicky if we could have one more question, and I know, Senor Carlos, I know you're gonna bring it. So you're our last question. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to use the chat or the Jamboard. We'll go ahead and take it away, Carlos.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Angela. Dr. Vergara, thank you. Gracias. Muchas gracias for bringing this issue up to all of us and putting it the way it is and calling it the way it should be calling. This is the perfect platform. This is the perfect stage to tell to all of us, young and age and advanced age of some of us, we call that we are in positions of leadership, that if we're not about to wear those shoes, then get out of the way. Somebody else can wear those shoes. I can't believe that I heard that we're finding a way to disengage for a week, and for God's sake, this is not the time. This is a time that in the last 6 years, our community has been suffering, not the last 2 years from the pandemic. I believe yourself and myself, we've been in these fights for 40, 50 years probably. And this is the time that we really need to fight harder and harder and harder. And I do understand, and probably you understand, and many understand that younger generation have a need, and they need to take care of their families and look out for their futures and their jobs. I do understand clearly, because I was in those positions before, but at this point in time, we can't waste any time. I'm so honored to be in this meeting, so content to be in this meeting, but I'm also believe strongly that someone needs to call us out every single day and remind us that we have a responsibility behind our desk and our computers to our community. I applaud what you're doing. I respect. For a long time, I've been following what you do. It's great, but some of us need to follow your footsteps and take as an example that we need to fight and work harder and harder and harder. Even we already do. But I believe we need to work a little bit more and take more conscious on what we do. I do thank you, and I love we can start working together. Centro Cultural Mexicano is doing the same thing in the face of East King County and the face of the state. And it's changing for good, and everyone knows it. Having more than 1 million Mexican and Mexican American across the state, having another 243,000 Latino and Latin American descendants in the state. You're talking about almost 1,250,000 Latino descendants and Mexican descendants. And on the other hand, it's only a few of us in these meetings. I can count the presence of the Latinos with one hand in every meeting that I attend. And we need to take action. We as people of color, it's time to take action. We have 55,000, 54,000 in East King County Latino descendants living right here and contributing. So the need is there for our children. That's the future. And I do believe that sometimes we are neglecting the necessities and the needs. Thank you, Dr. Vergara. Gracias. De todo corazón, gracias por todo su trabajo. Thank you for all the hard work, Doctor. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Carlos. And, just to close up here, I want to share with you a couple of things. One, I love to be here because you represent so many different organizations. This is right. I'm talking about a school district, but a school district is not going to happen if we don't have the relationships with community organizations. So I'm excited that I'm here. I want to make and build those more relationships with all of you and really get to know you and what you do. So let's keep in touch. But also, I want to close with the following. I was invited to one of our high schools as a keynote for assembly about a month ago, the Black Appreciation Assembly. So the first one, and I was a keynote. And I started the conversation sharing with them that, number one, I'm a proud person of color. I'm a proud Latino. And I keep saying that because I am. Okay. And again, 20 years ago, I don't know if when I first came, I don't know if I was able to say that, but now I can tell you that I am. And also, right, that we really need to, when we think about identities, we need to keep our identities. We need to keep who we are. And as I share with the students at that time, my accent doesn't define me, right? My skin color doesn't define me, right? So it's about who I am internally, right? Who I show others that and also my struggles, but also my successes, right? And the idea is always to keep pushing ourselves. I mean, in 2017, I finished my PhD, my second language. 25 people started, only 3 of us finished, and I was one of them. And I was the only person of color all the way. So again, I'm not bragging. I'm just sharing that it is possible, right? And it's about having really clear dreams and goals in our life. So, and I want to finish with this. As I was walking out of the assembly, one student approached me and said, "Hey, can I walk you out?" And I said, "Sure." He said, "I want to tell you my story." He said, "I'm from Honduras. I'm 15-year-old. And I came only about 2 years ago." So he told me, my mom left me when I was 2 years old. My mom left me and came to the United States, and he promised my tia, my aunt, "Can you please take care of my baby? I will come back for him." She went back 13 years later. And this kid is struggling right now because he's like, "Mr. Vergara, I cannot call my mom because I don't know her. And I'm having difficulty. My mom is my tia, my aunt, the one that she raised me. And I want to go back and be with her." So that's the type of students that we're serving, right? And that is the type of students that sometimes they need our support, and not only financially, but educationally, mental, social, emotional, you name it. So that's our job here, right? To think and look at the whole child. So again, I'm excited about the direction that Edmonds district is going. But again, without the collaboration of many agencies, this is not possible. So I want to thank you again for the invitation, and let's keep in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, yes, thank you, Dr. Vergara again. I have so many questions. I know, Janine, I'm so sorry. I know you got a question too, but I know we're running a little bit out of time, but we can hear you talk all day long, Doctor. So thank you so much. Yes, I know that some of the members of the EP backbone, they are ready to show some updates and let us know what's going on. But Doctor, we hope that you are able to stick around and answer any questions and, drop some more gems, because you got us all hyped up. You were our cup of coffee today.
Yes. So yes, use the Jamboard, and then it's up to Kalika. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. I have to tell you, this meeting has me all in my feelings. It's been an absolute roller coaster. And I'll just bring a little bit of my person. When Carlos, we were speaking about kind of just the growth, and also Dr. Vergara, kind of the changing face of our community. When I first started here, I put a bunch of pictures of Black people in my cubicle, right? Because I was like so isolated, and it's been so amazing to see this whole entire meeting has been led by women of color. And seeing leaders of color, this feels like an inaugural Eastside Pathways meeting to me. So I'm just gonna call that thing out because it's just been so amazing to see this, just seeing brown faces. I'm on a screen right now with 2 other gorgeous women of color. And we have a very diverse team, but to have partners lead this meeting has just been so amazing. And it makes me feel really proud that the work the Backbone has been doing has been really to center you all and make sure that you're leading the work. And so the other thing to think about as we're thinking about our partnership is not only the faces that are leading the work, but the number of partners, individual as well as organizational partners that are at the table to help us lead this work. When I first started here, we had like on the high side about 50 partners, and now we're up to 80. If you're not familiar, we have 2 different partnership pathways. One is for organizational partners, so you formally work somewhere, or community partners, folks who are parents, PTSA members, volunteers, and we want to make sure that everybody understands that they have equal decision-making power and influence while participating in this work. So really thankful for each and every one of you. As Dr. Vergara was sharing, this is about community work. This is about linking arms with one another, having a team. That word team just keeps coming up for me, thinking about we are a team. We are a collective team, thinking cross-sector, cross-community, cross-race, cross-language to address outcomes for kids in our community systemically. And also thinking about our person, right? How are we showing up and how are we continuing to lead this work, that powerful call to action? I have the pleasure of highlighting another woman of color. I can't believe this. It just keeps coming. I have the pleasure of highlighting another woman of color new to the partnership, Scarlett. She works with King County Housing Authority. So we have a quick video from her that we'll share before we move on to our next slide.
Hello. My name is Scarlett Lever-Ortiz, and I am the inaugural Senior Director of the Office of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion at the King County Housing Authority, the largest provider of affordable housing in the Pacific Northwest. I joined KCHA last summer and signed the Eastside Pathways Pledge in the fall. KCHA aspires to become an anti-racist organization, both within our agency and the communities that we serve. To that end, the partnership with Eastside Pathways has provided an important safe space to learn and share with other EDI practitioners committed to the work of embedding EDI into every aspect of our work and really highlighting the diverse intersectionality of our identities while placing an emphasis on racial equity. It is an honor and a privilege to be an Eastside Pathways partner. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Scarlett. And so I want to go back. I did forget, I'm so sorry. It's really important to also mention the third partnership pathway, which is for our funders, right? We know that having the dollars to lead this work is super important. Angie, you spoke beautifully about that capacity to do the work, and we know that funding plays a huge role in that. Scarlett was mentioning the Eastside Pathways Equity Pledge, and I want to shout out to more leaders of color within the partnership. After the murder of George Floyd, Eastside Pathways Backbone redistributed some resources in the team to create the POC only space. I think Dr. Vergara mentioned that strategic component of hiring and retention staff of color. And we know that here in East King County, a lot of people of color are working in racial and cultural isolation. And we want to be able to thrive and continue to work hard and do this work, but we need each other. And when we're isolated in those spaces, it can make it really challenging. And through the work of the POC only space, as well as our Eastside Pathways Equity Pledge Task Force, we were able to co-develop the Eastside Pathways Equity Pledge. If you haven't signed that, you can sign it on our website. Feel free to reach out to myself or any other Backbone staff or fellow partners who have signed it. And really what we're doing in that document is calling out a commitment to addressing all 4 types of racism. So the internalized racism, how I see myself, the ways in which I'm experiencing my race, this social construct, my interpersonal racism, how I'm interacting with other people, and most importantly, as we're thinking about systemic collective impact work, how we're changing those policies, practices, at that institutional level of racism, and ultimately measuring and moving the needle on structural racism. To date, we have 30 organizational Eastside Pathways partners who have signed the Eastside Pathways Equity Pledge and 39 individuals who have signed that pledge. If you haven't signed the pledge, we really encourage you to. And I think the most important and exciting part about that for me as a backbone staff member is that there's multiple pathways for you to be involved and engaged in addressing all 4 types of racism as a collective body. We have our Wisdom series, our POC, as well as our White Affinity spaces. We have our Racial Equity Council, shout out to them and all their leadership and time and contribution to the partnership, as well as our Racial Equity Collaborative Action Network. With that, I'm going to pass it to Sandy Nathan.
Thank you, Kalika. Wow, I'm Sandy Nathan, Community Impact Manager with Eastside Pathways, and I am stoked to have experienced this morning with all of you, our wonderful MCs. Each of you sharing all that gold during Gracious Space and Dr. Vergara's powerful, powerful message. Thank you so much. As you all know, we have many active collaborative action networks where our partners, each one of you come together, working with each other and the community to align resources and strategies to bridge the gaps that our focus population are experiencing. Due to time constraint, we are inviting partners from one of our collaboratives, Mindsets, Essential Skills and Habits Collaborative, to participate in a fishbowl. If you know what a fishbowl is, what I'm about to share will be a recap. In a fishbowl, we have folks in the inner circle, inside the fishbowl, and then everyone else, the audience, in the outside circle. Folks inside the fishbowl are having a conversation. Think of it as a hallway conversation, a virtual coffee with your friends, your work partners, sharing your experiences on a topic. In this case, it is their experiences from their engagement and work in the Mesh Collaborative. And then you have everyone else who's outside the fishbowl playing the role of an observer. You hold a stance of curiosity. You're actively listening to those that are inside the fishbowl. It's really important to understand the boundaries of these roles. As an active listener, as an observer, you're muted, and you just have the opportunity to eavesdrop on this amazing conversation that's being had inside the fishbowl. We will encourage questions, comments, but I'll really request each one of you to drop it in the Jamboard parking lot, not in the chat, because that can be distracting for those that are sharing inside the fishbowl. Okay, with that, I'm going to invite 3 of our partners from the Mesh Collaborative Action Network to share their experiences of being engaged in collaboratively building the benchmark of quality, a self-evaluation tool for the providers. Jacob Tobes from Rainier Athletes, Anu Luthra from IACS, and Angela Fan from YouthLink. Please take it away from here.
All right. I'm gonna defer to you, Jacob, first.
Oh, nice. That's great. Hey, Angela, how are you two doing today? So good to see you.
Good. Great. Yeah.
We're having a virtual coffee chat. As a part of this Mesh Collaborative with Eastside Pathways, I've been a part of it, and Anu has been a part of it for a long time now. And I guess I just wanted to share, Angela, I think you joined relatively recently, but really I really appreciated the continuity of connection that we've been able to have with this group that started just before the pandemic and everything went remote. I think we maybe had one in-person get together that was very introductory, and then we jumped into doing things over Zoom and video calls. But I've been lucky enough to be a part of this for a long time and helping develop what ultimately has become the benchmark of quality to help us as organizations go through and evaluate and be, I guess, reflective of our own practices going forward. But yeah, Angela, how's it been jumping into it?
So it's interesting because I was kind of, so Patrick for YouthLink, so he's been involved from the beginning, right? And I was kind of, not jealous, but like the FOMO, right? Like, I want to be a part of that. Let me be a part of that. Can I please, please, please? And so he's, yeah. Fine, I bullied my way to be a part of it, and it's been great. I really appreciate that all of the information that Patrick gave me from the beginning has made me feel like I'm not the newcomer, right? That I do know what you all are doing, but I appreciate everyone's willingness to say, "Hey, this is what we came up across. Maybe if we did it differently." And so because we started a little bit later on everything else with STC 101 and everything, it's been really great to be the newcomer and learn from what you all have done. That's, I think, the best. But you all are just awesome. So it's I just get super excited just being in the room and saying like, yeah, this is great. What challenges have you had? And then I make a little note in my notepad and refer to it when Patrick and I are talking.
Yeah,
so it's been great. And Anu, what about you? How are you doing?
No, it's been great, with the partners, listening to everyone and their perspectives as we were building the benchmark of quality framework, and just has been so incredible, and so I enjoyed every aspect of it because our organization and the program we run, we believe in empowering the youth, which we all do, I think, in this space as it is. And so just learning how different partners are doing, what are they bringing and into their programming or into what they're working on, and seeing where we can add certain things to empower the youth further, right? So that has been incredible. Jacob, what are 2 highlights for you working in this CAN over this long period of time we've been working here?
Well, I think so. At first, for me, what I think, or actually, it's still, I think, the case now. Originally, when we first started, we were involved in sharing our own experiences as a community partner, working with youth to help form this, essentially evaluation tool, benchmark of quality, that was originally put together with Sandy and Peyton and other folks at Eastside Pathways in partnership with the University of Washington and all sorts of research that Sandy can talk to much and Peyton can talk to much more than I can. But recognizing, it started at this level from a research-based and then also brought in our own voices of those within this exact community working directly with the youth. So that for me, just off the bat, was something that was a big highlight that I was excited to be a part of and really thought about. I can't remember who mentioned this early on about in regards to addressing burnout of thinking about the long game. So when we started pacing out what the timeline looked like to roll this out and get to even the first stages of testing this benchmark of quality against our own organizations, the timeline for that was really long, and it was sometimes hard to see that distant in the future. But that has been definitely a highlight for me, and it has allowed me to actually come back. And now that we are in this testing stage, has allowed me to come back to my own organization and connect with my little task force who's actually using this evaluation tool to be able to articulate the why behind it and to share the efforts that have gone into it, but not that it has to be in this super structured way, but more of a guideline. And we can continue to morph it, provide feedback as we are gathering feedback for our own practices, but also provide feedback back to Eastside Pathways and just the next steps in improving, I guess, continuing to improve the benchmark of quality. So I guess those were 2 things, right?
I have a follow-up question for you.
Yeah.
How much of yourself do you see as you're now in the second stage? Like, how much of yourself do you see in these questions that you're asking the youth in the ways that you want your organization to change?
Well, I mean, when you ask that question, it makes me think when we went through the, I guess, sharing our own experiences and how each of this different, basically for those that are, the benchmark of quality being a various, I think 5 domains, a bunch of different indicators, kind of jargony, but each line item we would go through as a group of community partners, and being able to share our own experiences of things or in my own experiences within Rainier Athletes that has worked really well, or things that we've struggled with, thinking about, bringing in student voice and recognizing what we've always wanted to do, but we just haven't quite figured it out. And then seeing those now reflected in the actual categories that we are evaluating ourselves on. Some of them are things that we're like, well, okay, we know this. We've struggled in this area before, but it helps call that out and give a little bit more structure to what is the real specific thing that we're struggling with. So yeah, it's both seeing my own voice in it, but I think my voice was kind of jumbled back then. And now it's providing a little bit more structure to exactly what we are looking to improve upon.
That's awesome. We have 1 minute left. What about you, Anu? Like, what is a highlight?
I think, especially with the pandemic, it has been crucial to center the social emotional learning of the youth. And I think having the mark of quality and bringing ourselves back to that each time, because with overflowing plates, work-life balance missing, you forget certain things, right? And so just reminding ourselves of that and making sure we are looking at those areas, and then with implementing the benchmark of quality and taking the youth surveys and looking at the data and seeing where they're struggling or where we can help and where we're doing well, and continuing to improve on that, as well as keeping that going. I think that has been an eye-opener at the same time. And just with I have to say it again, with the pandemic, I think this has been incredible work, and centering the youth has been so critical, especially during this time. If it's always critical, but during this time, it has been important. We've seen the mental health issues. We've seen struggling with anxiety and stress, and just making sure they're taken care of in the social emotional part of it has been learning from other partners and bringing all that to the youth is been the highlight for me overall.
Awesome. Thank you. And there's the fishbowl.
I'm very much looking forward to going into our next phase. We're in kind of the test phase 101 right now, and my organization is still wrapping that up, but we're on our way to seeing what those next steps are. And my little group is already asking about, well, what comes after this and what comes next. So I'm excited to do that, and then be able to work alongside you all and the other community partners in the group. Does, as you're saying, like, it helps ground just the work itself. So I'm off in my category, but then can come back and learn from you all as the efforts that you're putting forward, and take and leave what makes sense to bring back to Rainier Athletes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, all of you, for staying on the table. And you kept saying it's been a long time, 18 months of building the benchmark of quality. Thank you for leaning in on each other, really relying on the best practices from your organization to support the work. I want to now bring up this video from Carl Dodd from Eastside Academy, who's sharing his experience as a mesh partner who's engaging in the implementation of the benchmark of quality. Let's listen in.
Hi, my name is Carl Dodd, and I'm the head of school at Eastside Academy. Our core belief at EA is that change happens when you allow yourself to trust and be known. So our partnership with Eastside Pathways, and specifically be involved with the Mesh Can, was just completely the most natural thing for us to do. As a therapeutic academic program, social emotional learning is naturally part of what we do. But as with every organization and program, there are places where we can develop and grow. I often hear these words from families, just this idea of, if only we knew you'd existed sooner. So as a non-profit program, connecting with others and talking about what we do has been so important for connecting with those in need, especially at a time like this. It's been a tangible way for the work of Eastside Pathways to impact our mission. We also learn a lot from others as we hear their stories. It helps us direct students to services. I often find myself taking notes for ways that we can improve our own program. And the MESH framework that was created allowed our team to identify the gaps and areas of improvement, maybe even identify some of our blind spots. But because of who we are as an organization, we were able to identify the things that we naturally did well because it was just part of our DNA. In applying the framework, we evaluated what we call our student advisory program. We're also able to bring together a one-off event for our students where they creatively got to express their experiences alongside some pizza, of course. We got creative in our activities specifically for those students that weren't as comfortable with questionnaires. We loved that we got to make that happen. Because of the students that we serve, because of the need for solid SEL programming, it's been great to be part of something that's not only led to some great conversations about what we do at EA, but also had to build a strong framework across Eastside for all students.
I want to take this opportunity to thank all our mesh partners, Carl Dodd, those that shared in the fishbowl, and others who are at this moment participating in the implementation of the benchmark of quality. If you are an organization or a community partner that is interested to learn more, feel free to reach out to me. With that, I'm gonna move us along. Excellent. Let's talk about how the work of our partnership is organized. We organize our work on what we call ages and stages. As you know, we are a cradle to career partnership, birth to 26. And what that means is that we are bringing together all the stakeholders, community partners, funding partners, entities, all of you that are working with children, youth, and young adults in that spectrum of birth to 26. And then we have further broken it down into those ages and stages, as you can see on the screen. Some of our strategic goals directly map to the ages and stages. And then there are some strategic goals that really apply across the continuum. So today for our breakouts, we ask you to take a moment to think about which age and stage does your work align with. If you're an organization that has services for, say, younger children, you might want to pick the early learning as your age and stage. If you're a community partner who is a parent of a young adult, you might want to pick the post-secondary as your choice of breakout. Now, I also want to mention here that, say, if you are from PEPs, who have parent support groups for toddlers and newborns, and also have parent support groups for teens. And if you have multiple representatives in this space today, you might choose to really, one of you can choose to go to the secondary or the primary, and the other can, all I'm saying is align, pick your breakout room based on your role, whatever aligns with your role. The way to select rooms is really simple. Click on the breakout rooms icon at the bottom ribbon of your Zoom screens. You can then pick the option. If you are having trouble understanding which option to pick, we have Vicky to assist you. Just drop your concern in the chat and we'll be able to move you into your breakout. You'll have 20 minutes in your breakout. Vicky, can we go to the next slide, please? And in your breakout, when you are with other partners from the similar age and stage, we want you to really share your reflection on the two questions that you see on your screen and has been dropped in the chat. How do you see yourself in this partnership's work? How are you building capacity to continue to stay engaged? You'll have 20 minutes in your breakout. The way to pick your breakout rooms is click on the breakout rooms icon, the bottom, and you will see options, ages and stages options. If you have any questions regarding this, please feel free to ask in the chat. Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you all had some juicy conversations in your respective breakouts. And it's always amazing to discover new connections, reconnect with folks, and to be able to follow it through beyond these Eastside Pathways spaces. I'd really encourage you all to do that. And now we are ready to take a 5-minute break. You'll have music playing and quotes from our partners from our community report. That will be scrolling on the screen. I will see you back in 5 minutes. When the music stops, that'll be our cue to come back. So the time is 11:32. in 5. Welcome back, everyone. If you're back on your desks, on your laptop, I'd invite you to switch on your videos if you're able. Thank you for staying with us. I hope that you got the chance to stretch a bit. In my case, I heated my coffee that I poured in the morning for the 3rd time. In the next few slides, we will have the opportunity to hear from a few of our partners engaging in some of our other collaborative action networks. Let's start with the Early Learning Latino CAN. This collaborative has been active since 2018, and the focus of this collective is to ensure that every Hispanic and Latino child entering into kindergarten in King County feels supported and ready to thrive through elementary school. Today, we all have the opportunity to hear from Maria Alejandra Gomez, a representative from PEPS, Program for Early Parent Support, through a video message. PEPS and many of the other providers engaging in the Providers Council have truly exemplified what it means to modify policies and practices at a systemic level in order to collaborate with the community in the most equitable way. And then we also have the opportunity to hear from Hannah Locke, who is the innovation lead for the King County Best Start for Kids grant that is funding this work currently. Vicky, can we have Maria's video first, please?
Hi, my name is Maria Alejandra Gomez, and I'm one of the community connectors at PEPS. We were working with NISO and Eastside Pathways to start PEPS group for parents with new babies on spring 2020 when the pandemic happened. We decided to change gears, and working along with NISO and the promotoras, we adapted the format of our program, switching from in-person meetings to a WhatsApp model. Parents were able to connect and learn even when they couldn't meet in person. One of the biggest joys is to see how the promotoras grow and they get more confident as they support their groups. They have to prepare topics every week, follow up with families, and host virtual meetings, and they have been amazing. They have created an accessible space for the Latino families with kids under 5 years old on the Eastside. Through our partnership with Eastside Pathways and NISO, we have been able to continue our equity work. We have created an accessible program, providing resources to our community partners, training the promoters, and reaching out our strategic goal of growing PEPS reach and impact. Thank you, Eastside Pathways and NISO, for partnering with PEPS.
And can we now go to the next video from Hannah Locke, please?
Hi, I'm Hannah Locke, Program Manager with King County Best Starts for Kids. I've had the privilege of working alongside the Eastside Early Learning Facilitators Project of Eastside Pathways and NISO programs since 2018, when that idea was really first getting off the ground. It's been such a wonderful experience getting to engage with this work and witness the power of collaboration and partnership that both Sandy and Alma really exemplify. Some pieces that stand out to me in how they are community is really reflected in how they engage with one another and myself as well as a funding partner. I love the practice of creating gracious space when we come together, and I see how it has really strengthened and deepened our relationship with one another. They are also, of course, fierce advocates, really listening and reflecting back their needs, which first and foremost includes the needs of their team and their community. I know that there's so much to learn from the way in which they lead and the work that they're leading. There's absolutely a ripple effect from the work.
I want to take this opportunity to thank all our partners, many of whom I see here, who have been engaging in this work in the Early Learning Latinx CAN. With that, I'm going to invite my dear friend and colleague, Kalika Curry, to speak about career pathways and lead you into your second breakout. Kalika?
Thanks so much, Sandy. Is it okay if I just like totally fangirl? Because I get to introduce a video of Patrick Alina, who I know is also on the call. Patrick is just a great example. When we've talked about staying at the table long enough to see change through, Patrick, you are a phenomenal example of that. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So I'll let Patrick do the work here and we'll play his video.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Patrick Alina with the City of Bellevue Youth Link program. Bellevue Youth Link has been part of Eastside Pathways for many years. We've started with our Career Pathways project together, where we are able to organize the Pizza with a Purpose events at Interlake High School. And recently, for the past 2 years, we've been involved with the Social Emotional Learning Project and STC 101 in helping develop and improve our services with our youth population. The importance of being involved with EP has been very beneficial as far as ensuring that we learn about the different developments, best practices, as well as being able to be part of a larger network of community providers and understand what the larger picture is as far as what this work means for us and for the rest of the community and the young people we work with. So again, we want to take this opportunity to be part of Eastside Pathways. Thank you.
Patrick said it best. Really, it's about the partnership. It's about that ability to connect. And in my role as a backbone staff member, we're always thinking about what are the questions and experiences and tools that you all need to be able to do the deep, adaptive, equity, collective impact work. And sometimes it really starts with those basics: building relationship, communicating with one another, staying aligned with one another, whether that's being aligned within your organization or being aligned across organizations and sectors. So, really want to thank each and every one of you for the time that you're able to protect to do this work, not in isolation, but to do this work collectively. In just a moment, we're going to be dropping a link in the chat. Sometimes it's kind of fun to think about how much time am I actually investing in this work, right? I know Carlos Jimenez gave us a powerful call to action to think about. Now is the time to really stay at the table. Now is the time to really flex those muscles and do the work and roll up our sleeves. And I think we've got this really cool tool. Again, shout out to Vicky, another person I'm a super fangirl of. She is amazing, not only at so many things, but building really cool tools and experiences for a team. And she's developed this self-assessment tool. So if you can click the link in the chat, you'll be able to take a quick survey to help assess just how involved and engaged you are in doing this adaptive collective work as a partner of Eastside Pathways. So I invite you to open that link in the chat. And then once you complete that, if you would like to screen capture, you're going to get a badge. So please do screen capture your badge. And we want to recognize that this is not about blaming or shaming, but this is about taking a moment to really just assess how much you're able to get out of being an Eastside Pathways partner. Sometimes I like to think about, is it a Safeway Club card? You didn't have to do too much to get it. You get information, you might get some discounts, but it's okay if you don't use it. Or is it an Amazon Prime membership where you get things a little bit faster, you're purchasing things, you paid for your membership? Or is it a gym membership that's really expensive and you use it all the time and you're seeing results, you're getting stronger, you have other people to coach and support you? So this is that opportunity to kind of just do a quick self-assessment on how much you're getting out of being a part of this collective impact work. So I'll give you a moment to complete that. I'll invite folks to let us know when you've completed it, either by giving us a thumbs up or dropping your results in the chat. That's so good, Sandy. I think it's implicit in there that wine is also a benefit of that membership. So I appreciate that nudge. Thank you, Tariq. Love that, singing enthusiast. That's great. It's been absolutely a pleasure to have you join us in our spaces. As folks are completing this survey, I also want to encourage you to spend a little time on the Eastside Pathways website, really appreciative and proud of our team for putting a lot of effort into building a lot of new content, trying to streamline the user experience on our website. So if you haven't visited our website in time, want to encourage you to do so. There's lots of links where you can get information on upcoming events and programs. You can get in contact with Backbone staff members relative to the work that you're interested in joining in or fortifying your efforts around. Seeing lots of supporters, enthusiasts, that's great. Absolutely so excited to see some starters. We love having new folks in the room. As you know, this is about collective work, doing it cross sector. So the more sector representation we have in the room, the more powerful we are and effective we are as a partnership. Contributor, awesome. So awesome. This is great. Starter. I don't know, Randy. I feel like I know all the work you do, and I'm gonna call bluff on that one. I think that also just want to take a moment to recognize that we know as Backbone staff that the work that you do doesn't just happen in our rooms. The real work happens out in the community. So regardless of whatever score you get in this quiz, we want to acknowledge the fact that you show up every day to do the work that you do, your values and your commitment to young people in our community is really what matters most as partners in this work. So thank you all. I have the pleasure in giving us what Sandy would call a pause or a checkpoint. Just taking a moment to reflect on what's coming up for you. We've had phenomenal guest speakers. We've had phenomenal MCs. The chat has been really full and robust today. I know I've participated in some great conversations and breakout. So we just wanted to give you a moment to reflect on what's come up for you today. What are you thinking about areas where you can move from talk to action? So this idea of like, I have an idea, but how am I going to get into that action orientation, right? So if that's protecting that time for you to reflect, or working your work schedule, or messaging someone in the chat and saying, hey, we had a really great connection. Can we get coffee, or can we have a Zoom call? So I'm going to give you a few moments to think about what is coming up for you given your experience today. And I think Vicki is going to be moving us into breakouts for just a few minutes to have that conversation in group. We'll see you back in a few.
Hi there, everyone. I think we're all back together, joining. Great being in conversation with all of you. I am Kathy Habib. I'm the current chair of the Eastside Pathways Board. Thank you to our co-hosts, Catherine and Angela. You were fabulous, our Backbone staff, and all the partner voices featured on the videos for such an inspirational convening. This morning, well, now it's this afternoon, I'm here to give you two important updates on the Eastside Pathways leadership. As Catherine said, Eastside Pathways is always on the move. Eastside Pathways is a backbone as an organization, as most of you know, is embarking on a search for our next executive director, as Stephanie Charrington announced in January that she is looking to move on to her next chapter. We wanted to let you know that the Eastside Pathways Board has entered into contract with Koya Partners to help with that search. Koya is conducting intake interviews with all of our Backbone staff members and the Eastside Pathways Board members to begin to build the position profile for the executive director. Now remember, the Backbone serves the partnership, so all of your voices are critical to help define what the qualities that we need in our next executive director. You will be hearing from me via email next week to invite all of you to provide input to Koya on that question. So watch for that email. After the profile is established, Koya will lead a local and a nationwide search to bring forth candidates. We will continue to be transparent and open on our search and looking to engage partners, you all, in the interview and onboarding process. The Eastside Pathways website has a page sharing these updates, and you'll continue to receive emails from us about it. The second effort underway to define the future of Eastside Pathways is the reimagining leadership work. In this instance of leadership, I'm referring to the Eastside Pathways Board. Now, the board is both an overseer of the Eastside Pathways Backbone as a traditional nonprofit board, and we are also meant to be the leadership table for the partnership. We've brought together a group of Eastside Pathways community and organizational partners to work. They've been working together for the past 7 months to disrupt the systems of traditional board leadership. I was going to have a slide thanking all of these wonderful voices who've been so committed to this process, but that didn't happen. I'm going to give myself a bit of grace, and instead I'll make sure I have that thank you slide to all those people who've been participating in reimagining up on the website. Disrupting entrenched white systems like nonprofit boards or leadership tables is complex, and there are lots of layers that need to be reimagined and layers of trust that have to be rebuilt. This group is having conversations about the how. What should be present when leadership comes together? What elements are in that space that are joyous, safe, brave, authentic, equitable, and centers community? What previous held notions of board culture are harmful and need to be left behind? Who should be part of the new leadership entity for Eastside Pathways? Whose voices are most important in leading the partnership? As I think about this question that we'll wrestle with tomorrow in the reimagining work, I'm reflecting on all the voices that have been present today and are so passionately showing up. The what? What are the tasks of this newly built leadership entity? What are they responsible for? What are the crucial tasks to courageously and urgently move the work of the partnership forward with our equity pathway at its center? The work of the Reimagining Leadership Group will probably be completed by end of May. That work will be shared out again with all of you, with the partnership. So over the summer, we will work together to build a new leadership entity to support both the partnership and the backbone board. So stay tuned. Those are my 2 updates. I'm going to look to Stephanie to see time check if there's, do we have time for questions, Stephanie, or do we need to move on?
No, we have time to take a couple of questions. And then again, I want to encourage folks for any other comments or questions that you have, be sure to use the Jamboard. Vicki, if you don't mind putting that link back in there so people have it. So any questions?
And I do want to, let you all know, just to reiterate that we take both of these responsibilities of selecting our next executive director and also creating a new framework for the leadership very, very seriously. And we welcome all of your input. If you have questions about the process, if you have something you really want to share, please feel free to reach out to me as board chair, and I will definitely would love to have your input.
Can I say something? So this is
Hi,
Patrick. Hi, Kathy. I don't have a question, but more of just a comment. I've been with EP since we first started the journey with Bill and coming around to meet all the providers in the community. I just want to say thank you, Stephanie, for all your years of service and the community and the Eastside Pathways. I know the journey has been adventurous in all many ways than one, but I wish you best on your next change. So thank you.
Patrick, thank you. That means so much to me. Thank you. And I'll be able to share just a couple of words in a few minutes about kind of the journey that I'll be taking. But thank you. I really appreciate it. It's meant a lot to me to be part of this work for so many years.
And I have to echo that and also say that your work on creating the Eastside Fund through the Seattle Foundation, just know that you have laid the groundwork and you have a legacy that will live on through your leadership and your collaboration. So I just can't thank you enough, Stephanie, for all you've done for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you, Stephanie. You have been inspirational, and we have worked together, some ups and downs, some wins, and I really appreciate getting to be working with you. I think we've been together since Eastside Pathway started.
Yeah. We have been together for a while.
For a while, and all the girls too. So
Yeah.
It's been a long journey, and I'm happy to see where we are heading.
Yeah. And we're in a good place because of you all, for sure. Absolutely. All right, I think we're going to turn it over to Peyton. Kathy, thank you for that update. Again, if you have any comments, questions, thoughts, anything, please put it into the Jamboard, and we'll turn it over to Peyton, our data officer. Take it away, Peyton.
Thank you, Stephanie, and thank you everyone for joining us today, for being here. Thank you to the MCs. This was awesome. This was really great. Everyone whose voice we heard, you know, folks whose faces we saw, names on the thing. It's just been really great. You know, this is going to be quick. As a data officer, there's a poll. We want to make sure that the poll that we have some record of what we've done, and the theme is, they said it can't be done, but it's being done. And I think one of the ways that we as the backbone, you know, kind of measure change and impact of it being done is kind of through our own work. So the quick poll here will allow you to give a little bit of brief feedback on today's meeting, through which we're able to continue to do continuous improvement and continue to support you all and be collaborative. So thank you so much for an incredible meeting. Again, shout out to Angela and Catherine for kind of leading us just so well. And I will be quiet and let you all take the poll. You've got about 5 minutes. It should be quick, but thank you again for, you know, just for an incredible morning on this Thursday.
As folks are completing up that poll, I wanted to reach back to some conversations in our breakout rooms and just really want to acknowledge, thank you so much for the vulnerability of the conversations we had And please do include your comments and feedback around what came up for you in the Jamboard. The Backbone staff does look at that information, and it is highly impactful in the ways that we design these experiences for you. It is also a huge part of our continuous improvement in how we shape and curate your experiences as partners. So please do take a few moments to make note of the conversations you had in our last breakout on that Jamboard.
Almost there. A couple more folks. Hopefully can fill it out, but leave it open for about 15 more seconds. Thank you again for taking part and for providing feedback. It is incredibly helpful to really guide where the Backbone and overall the partnership needs to improve, make changes, and support.
Did I hear that Stephanie was going to talk about her future plans today, or am I? Okay. Cool.
Yes, Tariq. I'm gonna cede it over to Stephanie right now. Folks don't want to hear me anymore.
Oh no! I'm sorry. I wasn't saying that.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna end the poll. Thank you for the feedback, and I will give it to our wonderful and awesome ED Stephanie.
Thanks, Peyton. Thanks for the prompts, Tariq. I appreciate it. And Vicky, groovy music. I loved it. I felt like I needed to be swaying there. Thank you. I want to invite each of you, as you guys know, we have talked a lot about, it's wonderful to come together, connect on these ideas, and the change really happens when we start to take it into action. And so thinking about the experience today, I want to give you guys the opportunity to think about, what information you learned, any new perspectives, and really, ultimately, what's an action commitment that you can take from this? Kalika invited us at the very beginning to take action. It can be just getting something onto your calendar. That can change the motion and cause those ripple effects. So don't minimize any action that you might be taking, and make sure that you simply just follow through on it. So take a moment, reflect on that. And I want to invite our fabulous MCs, Angela and Catherine, back in. Angela or Catherine, would one of you be willing to start and share an action commitment that you may have identified?
Right. I think I'm gonna channel the 50-year-old Victor. And even though I'm not 50, I'm just gonna not care too much, I don't think, anymore. Right. Because that's the main point. When you stop caring about what that pushback is going to be, you can probably start seeing the needle push a little bit more further.
I love it. Love it. Thank you. Catherine.
And I'm gonna be off camera because my internet, I guess, is unstable over here. But it's kind of along those lines too. You can take those small action steps, those small action items, and even if it feels that we can't, quote unquote, do something about a situation, but we can always, as they say, like, eat a little bit at the elephant. So one way that I'll definitely be able to do that is connecting with
Oh, Catherine, I think we just lost it. Shoot. Sorry, Catherine. Try it again. No, I'm sorry, we can't hear you. How about adding it in the chat, if you don't mind? That'd be fabulous. That'd be that inspiration. I did hear taking small chunks, like eating the elephant one bite at a time. So yeah, we look forward to hearing that in the chat. I'm going to share for me, and I'm going to answer this prompt, and Tariq also just somewhat answer your question. So, this is now going on to my 11th year. In June, it'll be 11 years that I will have been with Eastside Pathways, along with a few other folks that are on this call that my heart just goes out to. And And for me, coming up, it's really, really, really important to be able to support through this transition. So I have I feel so privileged and lucky to have had the opportunity to work with so many, including you all, in this work. And I have the opportunity, this is not a sad thing for transition, it's the opportunity to actually lean into a healthy transition and give it the time and space that it needs. And so my action commitments and my commitment during this time is to, one, get back to kind of what we talked about earlier in the day. As a team, a backbone team, we spend quite a bit of time looking at continuous improvement. And it's important for me to ensure that as we go through this transition, because transition can be stressful, it's extra work, that I want to make sure that there is enough dedicated time, energy, capacity for the backbone team to connect and share what's coming up for them, and making sure that they are remaining healthy so that they can be healthy for you. And then you guys can be healthy for children, youth, and young adults. I'm dedicated to supporting Kathy and the board in going through the posting and interview process. I'm dedicated to connecting with you, each one of our partners, and especially when new leadership is identified, that transition is going to be really important. And I want there to be this warm handoff, if you will. And I'm absolutely dedicated to staying around long enough to ensure that proper transition and a supportive runway for the new leadership, but not too long. As I said this before, I don't want to be that creeper executive director that never goes away. So it's a little bit of a balancing act. And then, of course, supporting as I can with the Reimagining Leadership Table. So those are some of my commitments. Tariq, to answer your question specifically, I don't have anything particular that I'm going to, and so I have the opportunity to provide that transition and runway for whenever that new leadership is identified. So, so I'm here for a bit, for however long the backbone, the board, and especially you all as our partners need me. So I'm here. So we are at the end of our time. This is a big chunk of time. We know it's a big chunk of time, and we the backbone, take it very seriously, and trying to make sure that this is worth the time that you are committing to this. So hopefully you found that to be the case today. Huge, huge, huge thank you to Angela and Catherine, being, you know, our cohorts, our MCs for today. They're just a fabulous job. Can't thank you enough. To all the people that did videos, selfie videos, and submitted those. I want to also thank Liliana Medina for doing the editing of all those videos. That's another example of, we used to work with an agency in Seattle to do the editing of videos. And lo and behold, we had this fabulous expertise right in our own community. So we were able to move that over and ask for her support. So we're very happy with that. And a huge thank you to Victor, and of course, and Kathy, and last but not least, the backbone staff. I just love you guys. You're just fantastic. So thanks to everybody for joining. Thank you for your partnership. Thank you for your collaboration and hard work on behalf of children, youth, and young adults, and on behalf of each other. So have a great rest of your day, great week, and we will talk soon. Take care.